Well, we're here in Riverside. A little bit earlier we were in Bellwood, and I've been across Illinois. Later today I'm going to Moline and to Quincy and to Peoria. And we really have to pay attention right now because our rivers in Illinois are swollen and rising. We are very close to the Plains River. It hit, I think, record highs or very close to it just in the last few hours. And we have to understand that when we have floods, it's particularly serious if our rivers are also swollen, and it causes our tributaries of various rivers, the creeks, to back up. It can cause secondary flooding all across Illinois. So that's why today I declared 38 counties in Illinois disaster areas, including Cook County and all the metropolitan Chicago counties. This is absolutely necessary if we're going to get any relief from the federal government and a federal disaster declaration. Basically, the way it works is we have to itemize our costs in the next 30 days, starting today. We have until May 19th to file with the federal government. We must first declare it a state disaster area. We have, and now we have to, with our families and our businesses, account for all the costs that have been caused by this unbelievable, unprecedented flood. And we have to make sure we have all the specifics, the details, all the costs of cleanup, all the costs of damage. Many people have been evacuated from their homes. Here in Riverside, folks had to leave their homes in some cases. Other families have had their basements flooded, things in their basement damaged, completely ruined. All of those costs are necessary to account for. So we're all in this together. We have to make sure that we account for that in order to present our best case to the federal government. Now, for our governments, we're going to hear a moment from Village President Mike Hoffman and his whole team. But for governments, there is another source of federal relief called public assistance, and we also want to apply for that. And that means that all of our governments that have deployed all their first responders, they're real heroes. They're the heroes of Illinois. Our firemen, our policemen, our emergency management personnel, been all over. I've been so impressed, so inspired by how they have risen to the occasion and really stood out in helping their community, helping our state, helping all the people of Illinois. It's really something that to behold. But we want to make sure we account for the costs of deploying all these first responders and all the costs that the community may have in sandbags, heavy equipment, water pumps. All of that needs to be put together. We went through this in Southern Illinois 2 years ago. It's very, very important to have every item accounted for. I spoke last night to Andrew Velasquez, who is the Region 5 director for the FEMA, for the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and he has assigned 2 liaisons to our state. Andrew used to work for Illinois, used to be our head of our Illinois Emergency Management Agency, so we plan to work very closely with him.
So ultimately 9 barges broke loose from their moorings, and once they broke loose they hit into the flood wall. 2 of the barges, it looks like at this time, actually sank as a result of that, and the breach in the flood wall resulted in 500 residents needed to be evacuated, about 150 homes right now. And if we thought the water levels were a problem already, which we certainly did, it still has not crested. The Illinois River has not crested yet in that area, so the water levels are going to continue to go up. As you see the waters recede here, it's just going to go up further down there, so there may be larger evacuations necessary. Total evacuations spread out throughout the state, I'd say we're probably in the neighborhood of about 1,000 individuals. So this town alone obviously has had 200 evacuations, 200 people evacuated, 500 from that area in Marseilles, and then kind of sporadically throughout. Sycamore had to do a couple dozen people there. So we expect that to continue as the river swell continues to rise.
Well, I'll tell you, the number one priority is public safety. Our emphasis has been to secure the area and help these people here. Second after that, it's trying to get some reimbursement for our costs. That's why we appreciate the governor taking the action to have an emergency declaration for this area. As far as cleanup goes, street cleaner only cleans up some of the cosmetics. The damage to these homes, to their personal possessions, can't be replaced. The tragedy that these folks have to suffer is beyond belief. So we do whatever we can. From the city standpoint, just take a look around here at all the officers that are out here. We've been out here 24/7. They'll continue to be out here. This is cost that you can't budget for. If we don't get reimbursed for these costs, it will impact other operations down the road for us. Infrastructure is always an issue. Old town, old infrastructure. You're always looking to have to update things. We have MWRD that you turn to for some relief, so always a concern.
Well, this is a pervasive flood that has covered 38 counties right now in Illinois. There may even be more as the river gets higher. Not only the Illinois River, but the Mississippi River. So I'm going later to Moline, all the way down to Quincy, and then over to Peoria. So this is a statewide emergency. That's why we declared the disaster areas in so many counties. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this flood covering so many counties. And so we really have to prepare and get all our documents together. There is enormous cost in cleanup, and every one of those receipts we must come together with and present to the federal government. That's what federal disaster relief is all about, helping people recover from a natural disaster that nobody anticipated or planned. And here in this town of Riverside, which is right next to the Illinois River, the high school had to be evacuated because it was an island surrounded by water. We haven't had those kind of occurrences in my memory ever. Plus also the state declaration gives access to resources that communities need in order to get back on their feet and recover. So we want to really work as a family and a team in Illinois, whether it's here in Riverside or downriver where we're headed. Got to make sure we take good care of everybody.
And I did sandbagging and boarding up windows too, but it's better to see when the kids do it. I mean, that's what really makes you feel. There's a lot of residents out there. It wasn't just the kids. Neighbors helping neighbors, people stepping up for each other.
Well, yesterday I was in River Forest near the same river, Des Plaines River, and students from Concordia, Dominican, and Trinity High School helped with sandbagging after school. And, you know, it's pretty inspiring to see how many people come together at a tough time like this.